So Don, as I mentioned earlier, I deem you to be a leader, and I coincidentally, before all this happened, I made a video about leadership, about you.
Thank you. Yeah.
And here we are sitting here talking about leadership and lack thereof in today's society. It really does start with the top, but you don't really see empathy, you don't really see accountability, you don't really see somebody putting somebody else in front of themselves. And I take issue to that, and I take pride in what leadership is. But in order to exercise leadership, you need to. I think we as a society need to redefine what that is. And like I said in the video, it's not about, okay, here's what I'm going to do, and everybody else better give it the program. But it's about hearing people out, having empathy, giving back, giving the people the voice. But in your mind, you do a lot of action, leadership action. In your mind, what is your definition of a leader?
Yeah, so I completely agree with you, and what you said in the voiceover of that video. Thank you again for that. And I think in our society right now, we look to the wrong people for leadership. We associate leadership with popularity, with follower count, with platform. And I do think there's a responsibility with having a platform, but I don't think that makes you a leader. But I think that I don't think leaders necessarily choose to be leader. I think that people choose them. I think that there's something about you that people see in you and they want to follow, or they want to be guided by, not necessarily blindly follow, but it's just you have an innate quality about you that people are like, you know what, I see what they do, I believe in what they're saying, I believe in their actions, and this is a person I'm comfortable in and confident in, following, and I'm confident in the results that they're saying that they want to see and want to make, So I think as a leader, it takes you understanding that whether you have 10 followers or 10,000, people are watching you. People are watching what you do. They're watching your actions. And I think that is really, cliche, but you lead by example. It's one thing to say this is what we need to or should be doing when you're not practicing it, yourself, if you're not out there doing the thing, and understanding that everybody doesn't. I think that in social media, there's just such a way of really kind of funneled speaking where it's you need to be doing this, you need to be doing that. If you want this, then you got to do that.
Right.
You don't like your job, just quit it. That's what this person did. And it's very dismissive of people's situations, where they are in their lives and what they're doing. So whenever I post things like that, I'm never why aren't you here doing this? If you want change, I'm you can create change. You can be an action person in many different ways. You have to find what you're comfortable with, what makes the most sense for you, and what you actually believe in supporting. So it's not a one-off situation. It won't be oh, I showed up for this thing today, but I don't take any other action after that. It's what makes sense for you, kind of thing. And I think that it takes I had a friend hit me up and he was asking me about, kind of similar situations and questions about what's going on. And one of his questions was kind of what do you think we should be doing overall, as a Black community, not just today, right now with this situation, but kind of long term. And my answer to that was more so I don't think any one person is the super human person that can just change all of these things in one sweep motion, right? I think that it's identifying what your role can be in that larger picture, right. Kind of thing. So if it's you're a graphic designer, and you're an entrepreneur doing it on your own, that's a skill that you can teach a community that needs upward mobility. If you're a photographer and you want to use your skills as a photographer and videographer to amplify the voices of people around you who are, doing those things. That's you playing your part in your role.
Right.
That's fixing and upscaling to a larger picture and a larger problem. So it's it's not necessarily, for me, there's no we need this one leader who's going to do it all. It's just many of us are leaders in our own way.
Right.
And it's just finding your way of being a leader. It's finding what works for you. What your area, your skill of expertise is, and how you can use that to just help amplify the voice of the people and the problems that are out here.